No, I think that you are advocating for grooming is what you're doing. Wanting to teach sexuality to children. And I'll even go further. I'm gonna be
I think you're a groomer, and that's why you don't want me to say
I think you're probably a disgusting
because you want to groom people.
I think you're probably a disgusting pervert.
Okay, so I want to know, Rob Noerr, why am I a child groomer? What makes me a child groomer?
Okay, so let's just get to the meat of this. You don't think, would you be okay with this bill if it said the following? They can't teach anything about sex through K through third graders. It left out the gender identity part.
Anything about sex?
Right. No sexualization.
Are they allowed to teach about groomers?
What? Explain to me what you mean by that. Go ahead.
Like groomers, like people who groom children. Do you think
right? So what would that teaching be? Go ahead. Explain what that teaching would be.
Teaching them the ways you can identify that somebody is a groomer and like how you can.
Go ahead. Give me some examples. Go ahead. So you're teaching a kindergarten. Go ahead. Tell me what you're talking about. What do you envision this instruction looking like?
I'm sorry, Noerr. Do you actually believe there's no way you could teach like a K through 3 person like about?
I'm asking you. You're the person saying would things like this be okay? I'm asking you to give me an example of the things you're talking about.
The example is teaching a K through 3rd grader about grooming.
Okay, give me an example of how that would play out.
Okay, sure. You go down a list of like I think I just said this just like 30 seconds ago. You go down like a list of like here are some things that groomers do. Here are the issues with grooming. Here's how you can identify groomers. Here's how you can report grooming. Okay, so what are some of those things that you're teaching a 4- and 5-year-old? Go ahead. What are some things you're teaching them? Like
right, it's important to teach them it. So go ahead.
Somebody who is sure. A groomer is somebody who is like. Hold on just a second. Let me turn on my phone.
It's a good ringtone.
It's I think it's just the Snapchat default one.
Mine's so much better. It's Ninja Gate and it's awesome. Go ahead.
Oh. So in the case specifically of like what would you teach them? In the case of teaching a kid like how to identify groomers, I guess the things you'd go over would be things like the aspects of like here are some patterns of behavior for groomer. I guess you want specifics of what that would be. So I guess like groomers are oftentimes going to like say certain things that are like mildly sexual in nature that will like sort of like devolve your sexual boundaries with a long-term goal of having sex with you, right? This is what a groomer is. You kind of have to talk about sex at least a little bit to talk about a groomer. So I think that talking about sex at all shouldn't be a blanket ban.
Right. So thank you so much. I'm glad that the audience got to hear that. This is what Sinthe wants people to be teaching your 4- and 5-year-olds. Children, let's sit down here. Children, let's sit down. So there are groomers out there that will try to sexually exploit you. They'll be seeking sexual gratification through things like intercourse and penetration and things like that. Let's go over some of the
Noerr, instead of doing a stupid voice, just tell me what
let me see if I can do that. Hey, if strangers try to get you alone, don't go with them. Tell an adult like your teacher or your parent. Wow, look at that. Same effect without talking about all this sexualization.
Do you know what year we live in? They're not always trying to get you to go alone. We live in a world where like Discord exists. They're going to just say things to you on the internet. How do you know which things they're saying to you are like grooming and which aren't?
4-year-olds.
K through 3?
Yeah. So 4 through 9-year-olds. That's who you're talking about?
Yeah, 9-year-olds have the internet. Yeah, unfortunately, 9-year-olds have lots of the internet, and we have to make sure that we have.
Then it's up to the parents to have those discussions, not teachers.
Do you think that a parent's going to be the expert in this matter? Or do you think that we can like have a trained professional? I think that a trained professional could be the expert in this matter.
No, I think that you are advocating for grooming is what you're doing. Wanting to teach sexuality to children, and I'll even go further. Sinthe, I'm gonna be.
I think you're a groomer, and that's why you don't want me to say.
I think you're probably a disgusting.
Because you want to groom people.
I think you're probably a disgusting pervert, just like you tried to shoot from my objection. Please, are you going to let me finish? Then you can call me.
Too late. I said it first, Rob. You can't know me. I got it first.
Anyways, I think that the same reason that you tried to find a very niche way to say I'm against this bill because it seems too vague or something like that, you're now trying to say, well, we have to teach children about sex because of groomers and Discord exists, so we have to teach 4- and 5-year-olds about this shit. I think it's fucking disgusting. That's what I think.
How do you? So what about like somebody in chat just mentioned the idea of like the they were trying to support your argument, saying like talking about your no bits, right? Are you allowed to say like no bits? Like your area down there?
You could say in the Vegas things, you could say like if people tried to touch you underneath your clothes, if people tried to touch you below the belt, if people tried to get you alone, you should be worried about that. That's not really the role of teachers. That's more the role of parents. I don't want teachers talking about that, particularly when we see the indoctrination that's going on with sexualization of children, how many people are publicly talking about the need to talk about sex and gender identity with children, and even further than that, the actual amount of teachers that have done things like sexual misconduct and sexual assault on students. It is the role of the parent, and that's exactly what this bill was about, to empower parents to be able to make these decisions. Is that perfect? Is every parent perfect? No, but I trust parents to have the goodwill of their children more at heart than teachers that were willing to do things like force schools to close just so they could have their political agenda and take big long vacations over the pandemic that we saw.
Okay, so I want to know, Rob Noerr, why am I a child groomer? What makes me a child groomer?
I think that you're a child groomer because I believe that you're being disingenuous in your attempts to say that, well, we need to teach sexualization to children because it's all about preventing sexual exploitation of children.
What evidence do you have that I've ever groomed a
child? And that you secretly want to teach them sexualization because you probably have some agenda that you think sexualization of children is a good thing because you think that they could be sexual beings younger.
What evidence do you have that I've groomed a child?
What's that?
What evidence do you have that I've groomed a child?
I don't have any evidence that you groomed a child. I have evidence that you're suggesting teaching. No, I have evidence that you're in favor of teaching sexualization to children.
I don't think that sexualizes children. I think that teaching children not to be groomed doesn't sexualize them.
You said that you would be in favor of going through a laundry list of what exactly a groomer would do to them. A 4-year-old.
I think that you can talk about, like, you don't have to talk about the laundry list of the hyper specifics, but you do have to at some point mention what a groomer is. And a groomer is somebody who's trying to do something that is necessarily going to at least mention sex in some way, even if you do it in ambiguous terms like your no-no parts or the place you pee from, right? You still have to talk about it. You have to teach kids not to get groomed.
The point is that this is all red herring. This is all red herring because
it's really bold, actually, Rob, of you to accuse me of being a groomer while arguing against the fact that we should just teach kids how to avoid being groomed. I think something really fucking
right. And this is and this is why I say this because I've seen this argument come from the left so much. Same disgusting fucking perverts that want to teach that we can chop off our children's bits and put them on hormone blockers when they're 7, 8, 9 years old are now making the excuse we have to teach your 4-year-old about sex. It's about preventing them from being sexual.
When have I
ever
said we
should respond now, Rob? Give him a chance to respond. Go ahead, Sinthe.
When have I ever said we should be doing SRS on K through 3rd graders?
I didn't say you specifically. I said so many people.
You're saying I'm specifically a groomer, right? So when did I say that?
Right. I'm saying that you're specifically a groomer because you've talked about the need to sexualize 4-year-olds.
You think I've talked about the need to sexualize 4-year-olds? I talked about how we can avoid groomers by teaching kids about things that have like sex is involved in mentioning them, right? I'm not saying we should sexualize children. The fuck you talking about?
It's just my opinion that I think that you want to sexualize.
It's a stupid fucking opinion. It's a dumbass opinion.
You can think it's a stupid opinion. It's either that or you're one of the dumbest human beings I've ever met because
everyone thinks
I challenge stupid. It. Like again, I let you speak, right?
No, you didn't. What the fuck
people could go back and watch the tape and see how you suggested talking to a fucking 4-year-old. Okay, children, we're going to sit down today and talk about grooming. And I have a list of things that groomers would like to do to you. That's what you're going to do right now, Rob,
in the chat who are on board with you 40 seconds ago who think you're fucking insane here.
I don't give a fuck what those people think.
I'm telling you, people can watch it back. People won't have to watch it back because they're watching it in real time. You've made the most insane fucking claim I've ever seen, which is accusing the other person of being a fucking groomer with literally no evidence and admitting you have none. This is just
I'm not. You can't even keep up. I have evidence. You said that you want to teach people as young as 4-year-old. This is what a groomer is. This is a laundry list of things that they're going to try to do to you. I was very specific. I went for 5 minutes. Exactly. For 5 minutes, I was like, can you explain exactly what you would say? Can you explain? And when you finally got to the most specific as possible, you literally said, we tell them this is what a groomer is. This is the things that they want to do with you. And we go through a list of what those things would be. That's what you said in your words.
What did I list out? Hang on, we got to calm this down for just a second. And there's something I have to say because you may not be aware of this, Rob. But it was due to Sinthe's tireless work that we were able to expose an actual groomer named Alexa inside of a Discord server who was grooming a child. And it was literally due to a co-opted work between him and several other people that we were able to expose that from happening. So he is our in-house left-wing debater. I do understand your point, right? And I think that the point is valid. But I did want to make sure that you knew that that Sinthe has actually worked fairly tirelessly to expose anybody who he thought was going to compromise a child. So I wanted that to just be out there, and I'll give the debate back. And Sinthe, you can start.
Hey, one moment. Andrew, did you look over that stuff that I linked?
I'm still looking through it. I'm reviewing it.
And Sinthe and Rob, I actually the original publication under WAPO that has the link. I even added the line where they linked her doxing information. Sinthe, you will have to retract.
That's what I said.
You will have to track.
No, Sparky, I'm not retracting. You proved me right.
I proved to you that Taylor Lorenz doxed her.
Sparky, what they're saying here is here's a link where the actual address is. The address is never mentioned in the article. If that's doxing, then what?
In the article.
If that's doxing, then it's doxing, isn't it? It's doxing no matter who does it, right?
Taylor Lorenz doxed Libs of TikTok.
Then Libs of TikToks is a doxer.
Taylor Lorenz doxed Libs of TikTok. Say it.
And thus Libs of
TikTok. Say it loud, say it proud.
Sparky, do you pay no attention? I'm saying doxing is bad, and if you're a doxer, you live by the dox, you die by the dox. I already said several times it's justified in this case because Libs of TikTok is a fucking doxer who doxes a bunch of other people. So if it's doxing to say, like, in the case of somebody who is like publicizing a link to some other thing where you can find the information, right? And that's how you can put the pieces together, but they're not explicitly saying your address, then it's doxing when anyone does it, not just when the people you disagree with do it.
So
yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Sinthe has had several debates in the Discord that he wants to up the age of consent to 25. I think. Can
I respond to this? Can I respond to that?
And you should go ahead. Go ahead.
There are different types of groomer. There is a groomer that seeks to groom children for their own sexual gratification. We can all admit that's disgusting. There is also grooming into make children, into teaching them things and indoctrinating them in ways that will make them more sexual beings earlier, right? And increase their sexuality and make them more sexually active at a younger age than they otherwise would be if they weren't indoctrinated with this sort of stuff. That's the sort of grooming. I'm not implying whatsoever that Sinthe has any sexual interest in any minor whatsoever. I am saying that wanting to teach children this
I do appreciate that because that would have been brutal. And that looked
I'm not saying
possibly the okay, go ahead.
Like, for example, explicitly. No, I never once claimed that you were trying to have sex with children.
You said it was a pervert.
But the definition of groomer that I've used since this sort of bill has came out is making children sexual.
You called me a pervert and said you called me a pervert and said you did have evidence that was a groomer.
Right, I still have evidence that you're a groomer. And I still think that it's perverted. Okay.
I don't know. All right.
That doesn't mean that you're trying to have sex with them.
The opposite claim than the one you just said, but I don't know, dude.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down again, right? You can groom people to be sexual.
Rob,